All right. Hi, everybody. I am Shannon Eves, family liaison here at Blue Ridge. Here with me is another liaison, Anna Aguilar and Carrie Sipka. And usually with us, and sometimes she'll stop by, is our Director of Community Support, Jamie. Just a friendly reminder that this meeting is being recorded for future reference. We would greatly appreciate it if you could kindly consider muting your microphone when the others are speaking and just turning off your camera at the beginning of this presentation. Then you can open it up again when we're ready to discuss. Thank you for your cooperation. All right. So today we're discussing how to talk so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk, and their version for teens. How to talk so teens will listen and how to listen so teens will talk by Adele Faber and Elaine Mazlish. I am not saying those right. I apologize to those people. And then we are also talking about our alternate read. It is Crucial Conversations, Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High, by a whole host of people, Joseph, Carrie, Ron, Al, and Emily. I will admit that I did not finish this book because I'm actually reading this one a little bit more slowly to absorb it, and it is a lot, and it is very good. So if you're like me and you are unable to read this month's book, that's okay. I'm going to go over a bit about what each of them are about, and if they pique your interest, I highly suggest reading them to gain more insight and more examples on how to use these strategies, because we're just going to go over a brief snippet. All right. There we go. So both How to Talk So Your Kids Will Listen and Listen So Your Kids Will Talk and Crucial Conversation share the common theme of communication and conversation. And I thought this picture was really cute because it looks to me like they're trying to read each other's minds. And don't we wish we could all do that sometimes? And while these books don't help with reading each other's minds, they do offer valuable insight and tools to enhance our ability to connect and understand each other. Like, they both talk about active listening. They both highlight the importance of active listening as a foundational skill for successful communication. Actively engaging with the speaker and understanding perspective is key. Acknowledging emotions. They both go through recognizing and acknowledging emotions in a central theme is a central theme in both books. Whether it's understanding a child's feelings or managing emotions in Crucial Conversations, Whether it's understanding a child's feelings or managing emotions in Crucial Conversations, acknowledging emotions is seen as crucial to effective communication. They also both go over empowerment through choice. Both books advocate for empowering individuals through choice. How to Talk So Your Kids Will Listen suggests giving children choices to encourage autonomy, while Crucial Conversations emphasizes creating an environment where individuals feel empowered to contribute, discuss decisions and things. Sorry. They both go over conflict resolution. Both books provide strategies for resolving conflicts in a constructive manner. How to Talk So Your Kids Will Listen focuses on the family dynamics, while Crucial Conversations applies to these principles to high-stakes discussions in various settings. They both go over goal-oriented communication. Both books stress the importance of having clear goals in communication, whether it's resolving conflicts, understanding each other, or making decisions. They both have purposeful approaches to communication that is highlighted. Practical tools and techniques. Both books offer practical tools and techniques to improve communication skills, whether it's specific strategies for talking to kids or a framework for handling crucial conversations. They both provide actionable advice. And last, they both talk about respectful and understanding communication. Both books emphasize a significance of respect and understanding in communication, treating others with respect considering different perspectives, and maintaining a positive support tone are common themes. While the specific applications may differ from parent-child relationship in one case and more interpersonal and professional communication in the other, these commonalities reflect a fundamental principle of communication. Sorry, they're both in both texts. All right. So before we move on to open discussion, I hope that did cover a little bit about what each book is, the books are about together. We do have a few questions here, and then we'll open it to open discussion for overall. If you want to, you can raise your hand, you can unmute, you can just type or talk in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with. So how did these books change your perspective on your communication with children? I'll go first just to warm up the room. I did read these books, the first book, when my oldest was little. So we've been using this communication style for a long time. And reading this book shifted my perspective on communication with my children by it really emphasized their feelings, providing choices, and actively listening to them. It's a whole 180 from how I was raised, and it's really helped with communication with my kids. Does anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I think so much of the time, you know, when I would find, like, as I was reading the scenarios, like as my kids would like share things, my tendency is to want to like, well, let's fix this like right now. And so I think that just kind of stopping and kind of allowing them to share their feelings, let them process it, restating things, not immediately trying to jump in with my solutions, because then that's not giving them the skills that they need. And I think that's a big one that I really liked and that I know that I will continue to use. And then just not the communication using more the I instead of you, or you make me feel this way, or you more the I, and this is what happened, this is how I am feeling. I really liked those two were big ones. And I read the teen one. I was going to start the children one, I didn't get to, but I read the teen one. I look forward to reading the children one.
They're pretty much the same. I think she just changed the language for teens. And I know they also actually have for your littler kids book too. So if you have any tiny tykes, that one's good. It's basically the same except for just changed for littler kids. Like, how would you approach this for smaller kids? Yeah. Anybody else want to share before I move on to the next question? All right. I will move on. That's okay. How do you think the principles of these books can be applied in an educational setting? So, I do have a few different ideas that I can help with, but if anybody else has ideas too, feel free to talk. I think as a homeschool parent, actively listening is a great one. Just letting your kids come to you and tell you things. Like my daughter came to me and told me she's upset with her spelling. So I sat down and listened to her struggle, and she's dyslexic, so it's a big struggle. And we came up with some strategies together. Empowering through choices is another one where kids can get the autonomy to choose what they want to do in their education. Did you want to share, Anna?
Yeah, actually, I'm like, sorry. I was like,
Go ahead.
I think what it helped me to do kind of, because as I was reading this, I'm like, oh yeah, some things I'm like, I did that. Yay, hooray me, I did that right. And so I think one of those things was being able to kind of hear my kid where they were engaged at, what they were loving. And again, my daughter at that time was just so into like aquarium of the Pacific and just fishes and like just everything sea creatures. And so making that a focus, it really felt like for her, she's like, oh, wait a minute, like I can learn about these things and it's part of my schooling. Like that's part of learning. And it's like, yeah, that's how we learn. You find something you're interested in. So I just able to hear where they're at and apply those principles made them feel like I am in control of my education to a certain extent. And it made them feel like they took ownership of that. So I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah, and that's another point I had here too. I love that. The goal-oriented communication where you're talking with your kids and setting goals together. And that also helps if you're the one setting most of the goals, letting them know that these are our goals that we need to work for. So they know they're not just doing stuff to do stuff. That there's an end to this, there's a reason why. And this could also be great with your teachers, like as a parent and a teacher, those goal-oriented communications. So that both your teacher, you, and your student all are on the same page. I think another one here it was conflict resolution. I think this is something that would be great to actually teach your children how to do conflict resolution. So actually using the books in education, like especially the crucial conversations one, teaching your kids how to have those crucial conversations, especially when they're older. It will help them greatly in whatever field that they want to go into. There's also like using the practical tools and techniques from the books, such as like introducing communication tools from the books, such as expressing feelings and describing problems. Those are also great to teach the kids to use as they grow. Acknowledging emotions. Like when my kids are upset, we don't do school lessons until they're feeling better. Because they're not going to retain any information. We learned that in their last book, right? Like if their brain is not in the space that it needs to be in to absorb information, they're not going to absorb it. It's just going to bounce right off. They're just going to be upset, and the next day you're going to have to do it all over again. So just pausing that, educate that until they're ready again, until they've calmed down and we're ready to learn again. Maybe till the next day. Who knows? Did anybody else want to share how they think these principles could be applied in their home education? That's what I should have put right there. Okay. I will go to the next one. And so can you share a time when you successfully applied a technique from one of these books to improve communication? Anybody want to go first?
I'll share something.
Yay.
Okay. So I have been homeschooling for a while now, and I have three teenagers now. And so I read the teen book, and I felt like it was really encouraging. And in the past 17 years, as I've been having a lot of discussions and communications with my kids, I feel like one of the main points that's been really successful for us is when we validate our kids' emotions, whatever emotion that is that they're feeling. Okay, I can see you're stressed about this situation. This deadline is really causing you, to feel a lot of pressure. And do you think that that's what's making you feel, grumpy right now? And once you establish that you're on the same team and that you recognize whatever emotion your kid is feeling, you have so much more opportunity to speak into their lives and ask them more questions. They're going to be willing to connect with you and communicate once you hear them out. You tell them, I see what you're going through. I remember feeling that way too when I got stressed, or when I get stressed out.
just take the time to do that. I feel like we made the mistake of just kind of like correcting right away a lot of times, or giving the answer like, oh, well, you just need to do this, or this is what you did wrong. But rather, when you take time to listen, hear their feeling, and validate that concern, then you have an open door to asking more questions, having a discussion, and really helping to solve a problem or challenging your team to figure out a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's been really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. I recently used some of these techniques. Like I said, I had read the book previously. So I've been using this technique for a while. But I did remember some that I had used recently and I wanted to share. My oldest daughter really wanted to go to her drama class this past Monday, not this, but the Monday before, when it was raining like crazy. And they were going to find out the parts that they were getting for their play that they're putting on. And she really, really, really wanted to go. And I did not want to drive. And so we just sat down and we really talked about it, like just person to person. She heard what I had to say. I heard what she had to say. And then we kind of just left it at that, kind of walked away from it. And then she comes back to me later and she was like, you know what, Mom, I have a friend that's actually still going to class because she lives closer, and she can text me the part that I get and we can stay home. So that was great. Like just having that discussion open and then letting her make the choice and coming back to me. So that worked out. For my middle daughter recently, I use this a lot where she just needs to vent. She just needs to talk. And I use that where that acknowledging a feeling with a word, just like that. Yeah. Okay. As she's just saying all the things that she needs to say. Because I used to think I needed to interject and say something additional to what she's saying just to keep the conversation flowing, but that actually really bothers her and interrupts her flow, and she can't remember what she's trying to tell me. But if I just go, yeah, no problem, yeah, okay, she usually will figure out her own issue and then be like, thanks, Mom, and then leave. And I did nothing. I just sit there. And this doesn't really work with my younger kid. But for us, I like to use the imagination one. I think me and Anna, we had talked about this earlier. She likes to say things like, can we please go to Disney like tomorrow? And I'm like, that would be really fun. Like, what would we do if we went? And we just talk about that. And then she's good and she goes off. My middle child hates that. She can't stand that. She will get upset if it's not like, I asked for this and I want it, and then you're gonna start talking about imaginary things. No, thank you. So that doesn't work for her. For my oldest, it does sometimes work. She but we'll get goofy with it, the ideas, and we'll just kind of like play back and forth and we end up laughing. So I think some of these techniques are great for some kids, and some kids they're not. You have to like pick and choose and like test it out and see which one works for who. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've definitely been able to use the validating of the feelings with my third son. He gets so emotional and so upset about things, and it used to be like I just wanted to make him feel better. You know, like I said before, I just wanted, okay, let's solve this. And it's more like, man, you are really upset about this. Like, let's talk about this. And I think that's been really helpful for him to not feel like shut down. And so that's something that I use all the time with him. And with my oldest, who's now 18, still living in our house, but 18, I actually, after I read the first 2 chapters, I asked if I could take him out to lunch. And I just told him, I said, you know what, I'm reading a book. I wish I would have read it 5 years ago. Because I'm learning a lot of things that I should have done differently with you. And he was very gracious about it. But I just said, I'm sorry if you ever felt like I just steamrolled you, or I didn't validate your feelings, or I just tried to solve stuff. Now that you're an adult, I just want you to know that, I can help you with anything, but I'm not about to like impress upon you, but you know, like it's a different relationship. You know, I definitely told him, I'd love to be a sounding board for you, but I want you to know that's what I'll be. And if you want my advice and you want my input, great. If you just want to vent to me, I can do that too. And just kind of like building those bridges. And he's like, well, Mom, it's a good thing you got 3 more kids behind me. So he was kind of funny, just like, you know, kind of gave me that little we just had a good time at lunch. And I just feel like kind of working on rebuilding those bridges. I feel like that's the one that we've struggled with the most in all walks of life. And so I'm just thankful that I'm getting these tools that I can be rebuilding those bridges with him. So, and he's the only one that I've homeschooled so far for the last 2 years of high school. So that was interesting. And I've got another one that I'm probably going to do all of high school with coming through. So.
I love it. Yeah, always looking back and going, oh, I wish I would have done this differently, but yeah. I think that happens a lot. You're not alone, Erin. Does anybody else want to share? Sorry, my kids are texting me, right?
I think, Erin, I think it's important to go back. I've done the same thing with my 2 kids who are no longer kids, but young adults. And it's I think it reflects on us as parents that we're human. And it's our first time being parents, as well as their first time being our kids. And I think it puts us more in a realistic light in their eyes to admit, hey, you know, I might have made some mistakes and I'm really sorry about that. Moving forward, we're going to try not to let that happen again.
Yeah, kind of like as I was reading this, I kind of like an off subject. I took a moment to tell my kids, you know, there's things that I definitely messed up on as a mom, and I apologize, and I want you to know that I'm learning. But what I did is I asked them, I said, I hope that you, 1, can forgive me, and then 2, give me grace, because I may do it again. I'm like subconsciously, you know, it just because it's part of who I am and my routine. Like I grew up like this, so I have to undo that. I said, just have grace on me as I'm trying to. I may have, you know, apologize again, but just know that I'm trying to be mindful. I'm trying to validate your concerns, and at the same time that I'm validating, helping them to solve their problems on their own. Because it's like, and my best friend put it best when we're talking. She's like, do you need me to listen? Do you need me to solve? Like, let me know where my posture is. Like, what posture you want me to take with you in this? Do you want me to just listen and just be your sounding board? Do you want me to help solve this? And I do that sometimes with my kids too. I'm like, I'm here for you. Do you want me just to listen like a soundboard, or do you need some help, like to figure this out? And then I other times where I'm like, hey, we can problem solve this. We can figure this out. This is not, as young teens, you know, they're like, it's this big, when it's like, okay, let's bring it down. But I just, yeah, some of the suggestions in the book, I'm like, oh my gosh, my daughter would have nothing of it. She'd be like, shut down. She's like, you were being sarcastic. That whole dream, like make it, expand it. She would absolutely hate me for that. You know, like, Mom, you're just being sarcastic. You're just egging me on. But other ones, I'm like, okay, let's validate. Your opinions are important. Your thoughts are important because they're yours. Own them and stick with that, because I feel like if we tear that down, imagine how many people outside in the world are going to do that to our kids. And I'm like, they need to build that strength here at home. And again, they're in their teens, and I'm like, I know I messed up somewhere down the road when you were kids. I'm sorry. Like I was still learning, and I had emotions that I didn't know how to manage myself, and I'm learning, and now I'm working on it. You're working on it. Like, can we all just be at that place where we're still working and have grace with each other?
I'm clapping for you. All right. I don't know. Before I open for open discussion, I just wanted to say thank you for coming. Thank you for everybody who's attending today. Thank you for watching this recording. If you're live or you're watching the recording, I am asking you to please fill out this lovely form that we have. It's a feedback survey. Your feedback is instrumental to us in helping us enhance our future events and better cater to the needs of the community of our school.
Can I just interject one thing? Listened to Crucial Conversations via like a YouTube. It was free, like an audiobook. So I know that our supervisor had recommended that I put that in the chat just so that you can have it. I follow along. It's just the book that I have is the 3rd edition, and the book on the YouTube is the 2nd edition. It's just a little bit different, but it may be helpful to you. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So you have that in case you wanted to just listen to it as an audio.
Yeah, thank you. And our next reads are in March. It's project-based homeschooling, and you can probably see that one. It's by Lori Pickert. And our April read is Balanced and Barefoot, with an alternate of Grow Wild. Grow Wild's more of an activity style book, so you can read it alongside of Balanced and Barefoot if you like. And then I hope to see you at those. And now we can open it for open discussion. I am going to go ahead and turn off the recording for open discussion. Thank you for listening if you're listening.